Tuesday afternoon. Welcome in Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. I'm Chris Yow, and I'm joined by Mo Patton. And man, what a
good little show prep over here, man.
Dude, it's been a crazy Tuesday. I've had a lot going on. Got started early this morning, just barely made it back and able in time to eat a little bit of lunch, and then get ready for the show and all the things that go with that. It's been a really busy Tuesday, and a lot of stuff to get to in the world of sports, but also curious why Gene Wilder is trending today. It's like what in the world is going on right now? He's passed.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah,
and been passed. It ain't like
it's not recent.
It's
never a dull moment on Twitter.
It is the wildest thing. So we've got a lot to get to. Apparently, Sauce Gardner and Asante Samuel are going at it right now on Twitter. So there's that.
The retired Asante Samuel, right? So he must have taken exception to something somebody said about Sauce. Or
yes. So
Sauce took exception to something somebody said about.
Sauce Gardner was ranked as the number 2 cornerback
behind
Patrick Surtain.
Okay.
And that was ranked by executive players, scouts, and coaches on BroBible.com. And Asante Samuel at pick_622, by the way.
I like it.
Fantastic.
Okay.
No fur for Asante.
For a defensive back. Yeah, okay.
Said the New York media will take your career to another level. And
so what? Sauce said, I'm already at another level? What's up?
And Sauce said, dang, you've been on my one a word I'm not going to say. You've been on me lately. Oh. You got to relax. So this is fun.
So what is it? Is Asante saying that the New York media has taken Sauce's game to a level it doesn't deserve to be at? Is that what he's saying?
That is what he's saying.
Okay.
Now, here's the thing. Number 3 on the list is Jalen Ramsey. And I mean, here's one thing. Sauce Gardner's never been stiff-armed by Derrick Henry. Outside of that, I don't know what Jalen Ramsey hasn't done that Sauce Gardner's done. And if Derrick Henry had the opportunity, he would have stiff-armed Sauce Gardner, but he has not played the Jets yet.
Yeah, I mean, he's an equal opportunity stiff-arm.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure when it comes right down to it, other than having to see it, how much shame there is in getting stiff-armed by Derrick Henry at this point.
There's not, but if you look at this list, Sauce Gardner, Jalen Ramsey, Jair Alexander, Darius Slay, Marlon Humphrey, Marshawn Lattimore, Trayvon Diggs, Denzel Ward, A.J. Terrell. That's the top 10. Sauce Gardner seems to be
pretty accurately placed. Yeah, he's certainly, if you want to deny him some of that credit because he's a rookie, maybe you're saying he ain't earned his stripes yet or whatever. But I don't think you can argue credibly that Sauce Gardner isn't a top 3 cornerback in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
if you're quibbling between him and Jalen at 2 and 3,
that's about it.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just thought that was wild. Dude, I'm telling you, this has been the wildest day ever. And it's just, we've got so much to get to, and we're going to get to it. I promise you. But what we don't have.
Here's the thing: we're going to have plenty of time to get to it.
Exactly, because one thing we don't have a lot to get to on is yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
NBA Summer League action from last night. It was Cleveland with a 100-77 win over Memphis. In tonight's action, the All-Star game begins its telecast at 7 o'clock tonight on Fox as the National League tries to snap 9 games.
That seems like a lot.
It does. It's been longer, though.
Well, there is that. And The only other thing going on tonight, WNBA action. Seattle is at Washington. That's a 6 p.m. tip. It is not televised anywhere that I can find. But on CBS Sports Network tonight, you can see the Phoenix Mercury, if you would like to watch this bloodbath, and the 17-2 Las Vegas Aces.
Now the Aces, did they lose their last game, or did they lost over the weekend? But they came back and won after that.
They beat Minnesota pretty
113 to 89,
Yeah.
I think it was. Yeah.
Took
Okay,
care
so
of the
maybe
wins.
they won't be completely
they've got it out of their system at this
irritated.
point.
Yeah, but still, I've said it once and I'll say it again. The Mercury is not very good.
Yeah, not going to be a good night to be Diana Taurasi. And anytime Candace Parker gets a shot at Diana Taurasi, she's going to take it.
Hello, no doubt.
So
Yeah.
that's going to do it for your rundown. Top story brought to you, as always, by our friends at Piggly Wiggly in Neely's Mill Shopping Center here in Columbia. Thank you guys for going out there and seeing them. They have been.
As I did today.
And you did. And tell us about it.
Fried chicken, macaroni and cheese, sweet potatoes, and the pecan pie cobbler. So if you see me nodding off at some point, just mind your business.
I'll punch the table or something and try to wake you up. So tell me about this pecan pie cobbler, because you know I'm not a pecan pie guy.
I know you're not a pecan pie
cobbler
guy.
in there, and I might take a bite.
You would have to take it. That's the only way you would get it. No. I mean, it was good. It was top notch. The whole thing was. I mean, and you couldn't beat the price.
And very well priced.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
if you're looking for meat and vegetables, Piggly Wiggly is your spot. You're looking for hand-cut meats, fresh produce, they got all of that as well. Today's top story comes from Bluff City, as an arrest warrant has been issued in Shelby County for Devontae Pack, who is a close friend, best friend of Yow Maurice, in regards to the fight that involved a teenager following a pickup basketball game. And according to CBSSports.com and the Shelby County District Attorney's Office statement, Shelby County Sheriff's Office obtained a warrant for the arrest of Devontae Pack, who has been charged with a simple assault in relation to the July 2022 altercation involving Mr. Pack, Memphis Grizzlies basketball player Yow Maurice, and a juvenile basketball player at Mr. Maurice's residence in Eads.
That juvenile basketball player was Joshua Holloway, who has since turned 18, I guess.
And has filed a civil suit in the matter as well.
No criminal charges have been filed against Ja as of yet. But as you said, Holloway has filed a civil suit against Pack and Morant, and Morant filed a countersuit.
That's correct.
It's been quite the year for Demetrius Jamel.
Yeah. And here's the thing: this particular incident is really tame in relation to everything else. I mean, allegedly the kid threw a basketball at Ja's head, and
while playing a pickup basketball game at Ja's house, right?
You at my house, and you want
to act
my
up
basketball at
me?
my head? No.
Yeah, I mean, I don't quite know what you expect after that.
Yeah, and there are messages that Ja has that says that the kid threatened to come back to the house and, quote, light it up like a fireworks show. Threatened him in Snapchat, according to the countersuit. Lied to police about Ja flashing a gun. Now, we're just going to leave that Ja is claiming that it's a lie. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it is or isn't. That's what's in the countersuit. I just feel like this is, just not great timing for Yow Maurice.
I think one thing that we're seeing, and we have seen, John's got to do a little bit better job of who's around him.
Well, and this isn't the only time that this has been an issue. We remember the Indiana Pacers situation. You remember the situation where they were at the mall. This is, I mean, every time Ja's in trouble, he ain't alone.
Former Ohio State running back Maurice Clarett has done what I feel like is an admirable job of reorganizing his life after a series of missteps. And I saw a quote from him on Twitter, and it's been years ago. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future.
Yeah, that's 100%. That's nailing it right there. And I feel like Ja is at least starting to learn. He said some things about, cleaning up his friend group in the last couple of months.
And it's unfortunate, man, because you feel like those were your ride or dies when you didn't have anything, and you really want to you want to stay true. You want to keep it 100, all that stuff. But, and it's kind of like Dion said last year when they were getting ready to go to Houston, when all that stuff was popping off, and they said, we're not going to leave the hotel, that kind of thing. Some folks you just have to get away from.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, but another quote that I've seen, and I saw it again here in the last couple of days, not everybody that's in your circle is in your corner.
And I think that may be the more telling thought process there, because a lot of folks are there because they know what you're going to be, not because they want to be there with you. And
well, there are some people that want to be there with you that don't necessarily want to be there for you.
There's that. And this is a situation where Ja is going to have to make a decision on where he wants to go.
Well, Ja's going to have to look out for Ja.
Yeah, Ja needs to start looking
because not everybody that's around Ja is looking out for Ja. Now, that said, this last incident with him flashing the gun, where the guy was on Instagram and he turned to Ja, and Ja raised his T-shirt and he got off of Ja.
Yeah,
it's like, dude, stop.
Yeah, that guy. That guy might have been the one in his corner for sure.
Yeah.
There's just there's a lot of things that are going to continue to come. Look, this is not over by any stretch of the imagination. Ja has still got to deal with this with the civil suit, the countersuit. Obviously, Devontae Pack is now going to be dealing with a legal situation, and Ja is going to be brought up in that pretty much the entire time because he was involved in it. So I hate to keep harping on it, if that's what you want to call it, but that's kind of where we are. I mean, Ja's, and we talk Memphis Grizzlies on a regular basis, so we can't shy away from this kind of stuff, and hopefully Ja will give us less to talk about off the court in this 25-game suspension that he's facing.
Yeah.
Until then, we will bring you the most timely and comprehensive sports news coverage on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint, each and every weekday from 2 until we stop. After this week, it'll be 4 o'clock, not just 3. And we will take a break and talk a little baseball on the other side of it in the Lee Company studio as we await the arrival of Matt Brown. He should be here around the bottom of the hour. We've also got Chip Walters and Top 5 Tuesday, Top 5 Major League Baseball All-Star Game moments, all still to come. We'll be right back after this. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
In 1976, prior to a 9-8 win over the visiting Mets, the Braves held their inaugural Headlocks and Wedlocks event at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. A group wedding ceremony was held for 34 couples at home plate, assuring that at least 68 people would be at the game. Before a championship wrestling match took place on the field. Willie Montanez went 3 for 5 with 6 RBIs, including a 2-run single in a 5-run 7th and a 3-run double in the 8th to send that 68 and a handful more home happy with the win there. That was this day in Braves history.
That is fantastic.
Well, you know that was the era of, what time's the game, what time can you be here, that kind of thing. So, yeah.
What's their record in 76? 70 and 92. That's not,
in the West, that's not so bad.
Oh, no, they were 6th.
Oh, yeah.
In the division. Yeah, so because you had to play
the Dodgers and the Reds, yeah.
So, man, that's unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. Glad that we have this day in Braves history on that. That includes a championship wrestling match, which may be my favorite part of the entire situation there.
I could not find who was in that wrestling match.
Oh, no telling, but I can assure you that, it was probably nobody that anybody has ever heard of. So anyway, wait a minute. I can tell you.
Uh-oh, you found it?
Potentially have this information. It was Abdullah the Butcher, who I have heard of, against Mr. Wrestling number 2.
Mr. Wrestling number 2.
Also heard of.
Number 2.
Yes.
Okay.
They were a tag team. Mr. Wrestling 1 and Mr. Wrestling number 2.
Were a tag team. Okay.
They were part of a 4-match Georgia Championship Wrestling card. I bet Bullet Bob Armstrong was in that as well.
Mr. Wrestling number 2 apparently was Jimmy Carter's favorite wrestler.
There you go. See? This is fantastic. Oh man, that's way off the rails of where I wanted to go. But anyway, All-Star game tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Could potentially see probably will see 6 Braves at some point.
I don't know that you're going to see them all at the same time.
But I don't think you'll see them all at the same time.
I don't think Rob Thompson is any kind of way motivated to make that happen. Philadelphia Phillies manager Rob Thompson.
Yeah, no, it'll be tough. If it were Snicker, I think you might see.
Oh yeah,
you might see it, but I'll be interested to see exactly what that looks like tonight. And starting lineup, Acuna will hit first.
I was a little surprised at that.
Rather than
I figured Mookie would lead off.
Well,
Mookie's hitting third, I think.
Mookie's hitting third. So it's Acuna, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, J.D. Martinez, Nolan Arenado, Luis Arias, Sean Murphy, Corbin Carroll. Corbin Carroll's playing, so I guess his shoulder's okay.
I guess his shoulder's okay. He played a couple of days later, but it sure looked bad.
Well, I'm glad to see that.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Orlando Arcia will hit 9th.
Did you see the picture? They take a picture of the American League and the National League All-Stars.
I have not seen the picture.
Well, apparently the 2 most recent Atlanta Braves first basemen are standing next to each other in the team picture.
Well, yeah, I haven't seen it. So, but I think that's
interesting.
It's not all that surprising. I will say this.
Somebody tweeted something out about when your ex meets your new man.
I saw a picture of the Braves, 6 position players, Freddie and a former trainer was in the picture. And Freddie and Ronnie were standing next to each other, and Ronald had his hat on, kind of whatever goofy way it was, whether it was half sideways, half back. And someone said, Ronnie's just thinking Freddie not better say nothing about my hat.
There are like 11, I think, current and former Brave. Well, maybe more. It might be 13. There are a lot of current and ex-Braves in this ball game because, in addition to the 8 that the Braves sent, you've got Freeman, you've got Jorge Soler from Miami.
Oh, Soler was in the picture too.
There you go. And who else?
Dansby.
Yeah. So maybe it is 11. Maybe it's Freddie, Dansby, and Soler.
That would be right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see what happens tonight. Obviously, that you mentioned it earlier, the National League trying to snap a 9-game losing streak in the series. Obviously, last night was a great night, though. Got to give it up to Julio Rodriguez for 41 homers in 1 round. Of course, he didn't win it because the people who have the best round never win it.
Right.
And
well, I think they wear themselves out.
They're worn out. And I don't know how you feel, but I am not a fan of the bracket style.
Well, I'm not. Again, someone pointed out on Twitter, it'd be nice if you just went back to 10 outs instead of the timer. Although
it takes longer, apparently.
Yeah. This is a made-for-TV event at this point. You can manage the time a lot better than you can manage the outs. But I don't think if you're watching, and certainly if you're hitting, you can't appreciate the last home run because you're getting reset and trying to get your next swing off.
Yeah, not a huge fan of that or I want the guys who hit the most home runs in each round ought to advance. I mean, if I hit 38 and he hits 41 and I got to go home and everybody else hit 22, now I'm mad.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it might be the top 4 home run hitters
Yeah.
in the first round advance, and then the top 2 in the second round
that would
advance,
be
rather
the way
than
that,
the bracket.
The bracket is not cool.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of that. But anyway, looking forward to tonight. The odds are even. It's a pick 'em. Go figure.
The odds are even.
May the odds be in your favor. Not tonight. Marcus Simeon plays second base. Otani will be at second. Rosarina will play left. Seager hits cleanup at short. Diaz and let's see, Diaz is going to play first. Adolis Garcia is
Third.
playing right field.
Oh.
And then you'll have Austin Hayes, which is wild to me
That Baltimore has a starter. Well, and they should have had 2.
Should have had 2.
Because I'm not sure that Adley Rutschman shouldn't have started at
Shouldn't
catcher.
be behind or shouldn't be in front of Jonah Heim, who's hitting 9th. So there you have it. That's your All-Star game. It's going to be a lot of fun tonight. Looking very much forward to it. Also looking forward to our next guest, Mo, as we get a chance to talk to Matt Brown of Extra Points. We'll take a quick break here. When we come back, more on Pat Fitzgerald and maybe a little bit of an update on what's going on in EA Sports College football. So please come back with us to the Lee Company studio on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint after this.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think about calling for a ride. Nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that can happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone.
Better than drinking an ice-cold beverage while taking in a Nashville Sounds baseball game. Hi, I'm Stephanie Miller with Mornings on Main Street. The Nashville Sounds and Main Street Media Television have teamed up to promote Sunday Family Fun Day here at First Horizon Park, each Sunday home game. Just go to your favorite Main Street Media website and click on Sounds Main Street Media Day banner to register to win free tickets. And then we'll see you here at the ballpark.
Tired of hanging lights every year? We get it. That's why Southern Nights is here to help. We install programmable lighting on your home or business so you can enjoy beautiful, customizable lighting all year round. No more ladders, tangled lights, or cold nights outside. We do the work, you do the celebrating. Call Southern Nights today and take the hassle out of holiday lighting forever. For a free quote, give us a call at 931-241-3074 or visit our Facebook page at Southern Nights.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yow, Mo Patton here with you on this Top 5 Tuesday, Top 5 Major League Baseball All-Star Game moments still to come later in the show. Right now, though, we're going to talk a little bit about Pat Fitzgerald and the Northwestern situation, where we talked a little bit with David Ubben yesterday about it, but today we go to someone in the heart of the city and the situation.
Well, and since we talked to David Ubben, the situation has
changed,
updated, I guess.
It has, in fact. So now we go to Matt Brown of Extra Points. Matt, what's up, man?
Hey, thanks for having me on here, guys. It's been a very eventful past couple of days here in Chicago, but as my buddy Chris Vanini at The Athletic pointed out a couple of days ago, this has been the time of the offseason when something stupid happens for the last couple of years. That late June, early July, this is when Texas, Oklahoma happened, when USC, UCLA happened, when Alston happened, and now we have the easily greatest football player, coach, figure, personification of Northwestern football is out. And now the open question is, who else will be going with him?
Matt, did they name an interim coach, or are they waiting to see who else goes out with him?
That's exactly what they're doing. So right now, the defensive coordinator who was recently hired is like the caretaker, while the university promised to issue an update about who the interim coach is going to be. I would expect we'll get that information this week because camp starts in like 2.5, 3 weeks. Season's less than 2 months away. My understanding is that this is likely to be a season where you have a 1-year caretaker type interim, kind of like what we had with Baylor coming out of a scandal, while the university then looks for a more permanent coach after the season. It's very, very unlikely that Northwestern is going to be able to pry an existing head coach from anywhere in college football in July, just because nobody wants to bail on their team at this particular time of the year. So you're looking at folks that are not sitting head coaches, people that retired, people that have head coaching experience, are looking to get back into the industry. That's kind of your pool. It would also be difficult to sell somebody who has not been a head coach stepping into this role right now, where trying to keep this roster together and keep this fractured community together is going to be paramount. And that is a job that really requires an experienced hand.
So you expect them more likely to go outside to bring someone in, as you mentioned, like Baylor did with Jim Grobe when they had that issue, as opposed to trying to identify someone that's already in-house and elevate them?
That would be my expectation. It is
who fits that?
Well, there's a couple of guys right now, right? I mean, what's David Shaw doing? Has a lot of experience working at an institution like Northwestern, very highly respected within the industry. Bronco Mendenhall, former coach at BYU in Virginia.
We don't know why he left, though.
Sure, we do. He was burned out. He had years left on his contract. He was just exhausted. He wanted to go spend a year fly fishing in Montana and think about his next move and get out of Virginia. But he's always, and I know him, right? And he's indicated that he wants back in. This would be that kind of a school. You could potentially bring in somebody from the NFL. You could bring in Ken Newell-Tolomo, who's the former Navy coach, probably like the number one in the industry as like straight arrow, super integrity leadership guy. He's now working as like an assistant player personnel person at UCLA. Those folks exist, but it's still pretty early. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it would be surprising if Northwestern decided to roll the next year internally, given that their internal culture is a big reason why they are where they are right now.
It's a little odd timing, but ironically, Pat Fitzgerald got this job in late June, early July in 2006, right?
That sounds about right. After, tragic circumstances.
Right.
Sure. And was very young when he got that job. I mean, Fitzgerald's not even 50 years old. He's been coaching there for 16 years. He still has quite a bit of career left in him. This is it's just uncharted territory for Northwestern. They haven't really been in this kind of coaching search or open market, since I was in elementary school. It's been early 90s. They've had more continuity than almost anybody in college athletics.
So the real question here is just like you asked on Twitter and wrote about, is who made the decision and whose head does this fall on?
Yeah, a big part of my beat for Extra Points Now. So writing about how college athletics administration works, talking and learning about process and how you create an organizational culture. And what's a major risk, and this is not specific just to Northwestern football, this is the thing across all college athletics, whether it's at the P5 or G5 or FCS or anywhere else, where you have a coach whose power and influence and not cult of personality, but his connections within the university and the boosters are far outstrip that of the university president or the athletic director. I mean, there's no way to really meaningfully check against that culture. I think all three of us could probably think of a couple of places right now where a coach, whether that's football or basketball, or in some places hockey, is really the de facto athletic director, even though the athletic director exists. At a place like Northwestern, where we had now, you have a new university president. Michael Schrill had been there for less than a year. It wasn't even the university's top choice for the gig. Your athletic director had been there, I think, for a year and a half, and he was only there because the last guy had to quit after 10 days because of allegations that he was insensitive to abuse allegations. And then you've got Fitzgerald, who's been there for 20 years and is a revered figure within that community. So he's the guy in charge. What Northwestern needs to figure out is not just who made this decision specifically about Fitzgerald, but who is really making athletic decisions. Do we have a small group of highly influential donors that are really calling the shots, and not just for football? Northwestern baseball's on fire right now. This is true across the institution. Is it really the university president who may not be qualified to make some of these decisions over the AD, over existing employees? And if it's all going to go one guy, how does that guy stay, given the acrimonious relationship that the athletic department sometimes has with faculty and with the community of Evanston, which is very important given they're trying to rebuild their stadium right now. And a lot of the neighbors around that stadium are already not happy about that arrangement. The last thing the school wants is another public fight. I would be surprised, honestly, from what I have heard right now, if Fitzgerald is the only high-profile person to depart Northwestern over the next couple of months. One of the tricky things about being a university president is that college sports only represents a very small percentage of what you do every day. And it's not in the top 6 most important things if you're leading Northwestern. But boy, howdy, it can get you fired. If you mess that up, that is going to bring the reporters, and that's going to bring the boosters, and that's going to bring Pat Ryan, who bankrolls half that athletic department, to come scream at you in a way that's screwing up Lurie Children's Hospital or university federal grant research isn't going to do. And it's not. These are the situations where you sometimes see ADs and presidents and regents and board members all get swept away.
You know, they say that athletics is the front porch of most major colleges and universities, and football is certainly the front door, the first step, whatever it is. But Matt Brown of Extra Points joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. He's at Matt Brown EP. And again, as we like to say on the show, if you're not following him on Twitter, we don't know what you're doing with your life. But Matt, as Chris and I discussed this situation with David Ubben of The Athletic yesterday, and then we let him go, Chris made a heck of a point, and I'm going to steal it from him because he's probably forgotten it. But has anyone spoken to Dan and Susan Jones about this situation? The couple that endow the Dan and Susan Jones family head football coach at Northwestern?
You know, if they have, it hasn't been on the record yet, but this is part of the issue. So when you think here about my alma mater, I went to Ohio State. If you're thinking here about Tennessee, Knoxville, or about most places in the SEC, you have what's called a sidewalk fan base. You have a large community of people that didn't necessarily go to the school, but because that university has cultural importance, they're willing to still financially support it and bankroll it. You've got fans that didn't go to those places, and that means you have a broad booster base to draw from. Northwestern is not one of those places. They like to advertise themselves as Chicago's Big Ten team. They're barely Evanston's Big Ten team. Like the Northwestern's importance within the city of Chicago is not in the top 7, top 8 major sports teams. It's obvious. It's behind every Chicago pro team. Depending where you live in the city, it's behind Notre Dame. It might be behind some other Big Ten schools. It might be behind the Fire or the Sky, depending on where it's a non-issue, which means that there's not a lot of people outside of the university community who deeply care about it. And that means that the handful of people who are willing to care enough to cut 7-figure checks have more influence than they might even at a much larger or higher profile school, because there's not a lot of those kind of people that are going to endow a football coaching position or pay for half of a stadium renovation or some of those facilities. Northwestern has better football facilities than almost everybody in the SEC. And they have that because of like 2 insurance executives who just give them a ton of money. So they have a more direct line and more influence than one high roller donor at a much higher profile school. I think that might be part of the problem here, because you don't have the university being as engaged in some of this decision-making process as some of the checks do. And as we've seen over the last, not now, but maybe the last 15 years of Tennessee football or Tennessee athletics, or most of the modern history of Auburn, that's not always the best way to run an athletic department.
Yeah, I was just sitting here thinking, I was like, one name comes to mind, and he has to do with another team in the state of your alma mater, Ohio. But
yeah,
neither here nor there today.
Yeah, we're not going to get into that.
Or
yeah.
Bobby Louders. And all of that.
Next time.
Yeah, maybe. But, Matt, I do have to ask you this question, because you could find this information out. How big was the fruit basket that Bob Huggins sent the university this morning to get off his butt?
Man, I'll say this. I want to check any basket that Bob Huggins is sending very carefully right now, because I'm guessing it might not just
fruit.
There. No, but boy, that's a whole nother train wreck, and I don't know what lawyers he got to represent him. Or,
somebody from Ohio State, supposedly.
Well,
there you go.
Not the world's greatest law school. At the Ohio State University, folks. I don't know. Go Google famous Ohio State law grads. You're gonna go find a bunch of depressing names. Yeah, that's a whole other thing here. I will say it is sad, as somebody who even grew up watching him in Cincinnati and who knows the really, I think, kind of special relationship that he's had with a lot of West Virginia fans. Because Huggins is, I will say this, like, he's very publicly a flawed guy. And a lot of West Virginia fans and a lot of Cincinnati fans there too really connected with that, because they saw somebody a lot like them on the sidelines for their university. And Huggy has, he has this kind of curmudgeon-y persona, but we've also seen and heard of him having a gigantic heart. A lot of players loved him. And to see this kind of public cycle of self-destruction, given what he means to a lot of people, I think is really sad to see.
No question. Right now in the world of college sports, there's a lot going on, and this is kind of the silly season, and talking season starts next week here in SEC country. But what is the world of college athletics do in this particular time when they're not dealing with these fires like Northwestern and West Virginia are dealing with?
Yeah, it's a good question. And it's funny, if you're an AD or you're like a senior associate AD or even a coach of a fall sport, there's generally only about 2.5 weeks of the year where you can really take a vacation. And it's ironically, it's this time. I think that actually might have been where Northwestern's athletic director was. I don't think he was in the country when a lot of this happened. It's like the last week of June and the week or two before talking season. And it's been a struggle for us, honestly, because a lot of the stories we're working on, there's nobody around to take that call. Or the ones who have direct information. So some people are out, right? You use this opportunity as well to do professional development, to cultivate donors. A lot of these larger schools have big facility projects that they're working on, either remodeling or building new buildings, and so they're working through there. It is a 12-month out of the year gig, but if there is any dead season, it's after NACTA, which is usually like the beginning of June. It's before conference media days, which is usually mid-July. There's some academic conferences in June. Like a lot of people were trying to get some fishing in before they don't see their wives for another 5 months. And then, I imagine there's a lot of very frustrated people on many levels in West Virginia right now.
Matt Brown of Extra Points joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Bringing this back a little closer to home for you, Matt. Pat Fitzgerald has retained legal counsel.
Yeah.
How does he fight? Not from Ohio State University.
Yeah, no, presumably not.
Somebody who's a teensy bit more of a big deal. Yeah, he's not fighting for his job back necessarily. He's fighting to get his money. Fitzgerald was, I want to say he was owed close to $40 million. And this is part of what's crazy about this whole thing, because Northwestern's president is a lawyer. And not just a lawyer, he was the dean of a law school at Oregon. He has a lot of experience in process and in contracts. And that's part of what makes this decision so confusing, not because of the final result. Firing Pat Fitzgerald is, in my view, quite defensible, given what the university knew last Friday. But to then agree to a suspension that was a slap on the wrist, not really get meaningful new information, and then unilaterally decide to fire the guy without entering into structured settlement negotiations means that, they're going to get sued. And there's going to be some kind of settlement here, and it's going to cost you tens of millions of dollars, because the university basically gave Pat Fitzgerald tenure. They never thought this kind of thing was going to happen. So they signed into a fat, very long-term deal. You can fire people for cause, but what generally happens, unless something was much more dramatic than this, is there's some kind of buyout settlement here, and that's what's happening. He's bringing in the biggest of big guns to defend his reputation, to collect as much of that earned money as possible, and set himself up in a way that he can go back to coaching somewhere, because he's not 67 years old. He's got another 15 years left in this business if he wants to do it. And he wants to regain some of that reputation.
Or to set himself up to where he doesn't have to coach.
Look, he doesn't have to coach now. Pat Fitzgerald's been a wealthy man for a long time. But, it's the same thing with ADs. If you're coaching the SEC one 4-year contract, man, you've got generational wealth. You don't have to do this anymore. But most people still do. Houston Nutt is still out there ready to crawl through broken glass to get back into coaching, even though he doesn't have to do this anymore. A lot of people don't have to do it, but you're competitive. It's what you do. It's what you spent your whole life doing. It would surprise me if we never see him on a sideline again.
I'm reminded, Chris, of the famous Nolan Richardson comment. They pay me my money, they can have this job tomorrow.
Or Ed Orgeron.
Oh, sure, yeah. You want me out by noon? The whole. I remember the whole thing, right? And yet, I bet we'll see O somewhere. Once he gets a year off and kind of rehabilitates. We saw he was kicking the tires on the UNLV job. These guys have a hard time staying away forever.
Whoa, stop. Ed Orgeron in Las Vegas.
It's Bobby Petrino.
I didn't say it was a good idea. I didn't say it was a good idea. I said people made phone calls.
No, you did not.
I said an idea. Shoot, they put Bobby Petrino out there. It's not like he's the paragon of virtue and self-restraint.
And yet, Bobby Petrino, has made his way back to the SEC.
Yeah, talk about rehabilitating.
Hugh Freeze. There are a number. What Pat Fitzgerald is accused of in this instance is on the totem pole of bad things that coaches have done is pretty low. I understand that what he should have known, but if he didn't know, if he didn't have direct knowledge and I don't know about this Eduardo, whatever his name is, the trainer.
I'm gonna stop you.
Well,
just because I got to get on the record on this, I don't think that not knowing in a situation like this is an acceptable defense.
But again, based on this Eduardo Soto, and do you know who this person is, Matt?
I've never met him. I read the thing. I get what y'all are trying to say, and firing him for cause, based on what's been reported here, like in my professional opinion, would be defensible.
Sure.
But Chris, I mean, you're right. Like, people tried to hire Art Briles again. Multiple people tried to hire Art Briles, and I think we would look and say, yeah, what he did was worse. Who was the guy, the basketball, Dave Bliss? Dave
Bliss, also from Baylor.
Like, that man should have been in jail, and people still hired him. I mean, granted, not like Power 5 jobs, but people still, entities were still willing to pay him to coach. You're right. On that scale, of people who have done very bad things, we have coaches who are responsible for people dying that are on Power 5 staffs right now.
Yeah.
That are leading Power 5 programs.
Sure. So if you're good, somebody will make an excuse for you here. And Fitzgerald, I don't think I'm telling tales out of school here, is beloved by a lot of coaches in this profession. He is a coach's coach. And that matters for finding another gig. A lot of people hate Bobby Petrino's guts. He was not exactly like the Mr. Cuddly in the world, and he found his way back to the SEC. There's a whole lot of people that hate Hugh Freeze, and he's back here. And you won't find nearly as many people in the industry who feel that way about Pat Fitzgerald. I could think of a bunch of parents who might feel that way, or some faculty members, or some ex-athletes who might feel that way. But when it's time to go find another gig, I mean, this is why Will Muschamp kept getting jobs, right? People liked him.
There you go. And that's kind of where, I mean, it's not going to be hard to make an excuse to hire Pat Fitzgerald, is my point. So there's that. Anyway, Matt, before we let you go, want to get a quick update. Can you tell us what's going on in the world of EA sports, college football? This is not going to be a problem. This lawsuit or whatever it is not going to be an issue in getting this game out, right?
Yeah, I want to talk everybody here off the ledge. The lawsuit here with Brandar is not one that's going to impact the development of the game. It's not anything that's likely to impact player likenesses in the game. The proposed boycott is from an organization that has very, very, very few active members within college football, and it's not enough to shift a boycott here. And EA has already communicated to schools, based on my reporting and documents that I've shared, they're prepared to release the sucker without any players in it, and just limit roster customization and go full generic. There's a lot of time for litigation to be cleared up here. The key issue, and this I think has been misinterpreted in some of the reporting here. The key issue is not whether players should get $500 or $700 or $900. The issue is to be involved, which they're not. Which professional athletes are in all of their video game negotiations, and that has not been the case for college. The final number, I imagine, is going to be a little bit above 500, probably not a whole lot more, but there's plenty of time to get this particular thing fixed. The only thing folks got to be worried about is if schools pull out. If a bunch of schools do, then that would impact when this game can be released, because the EA does not want to release a game without Notre Dame, Tennessee, and Florida. That's not the conversation right now. They will happily do it if 2,000 of the 11,000 players they're trying to license are not in the game.
And that's kind of where I thought.
Matt, getting out your crystal ball, what's the next shoe to fall in terms of realignment?
I don't know, guys. I really don't. I mean, the next shoe to fall is going to be something related to the Pac-12, and I've written about this a couple of times. I've talked to the presidents. I've talked to the ADs. I've talked to the TV people, and they've been telling me a deal's 2 weeks away for 3 months, and they've been telling me the Pac-12 is about to dissolve in 2 weeks for 3 months. And I've been telling folks, like, look, we don't know when Jesus is coming back. Nobody knows when Jesus is coming back except for the angels in heaven. That's how I feel about this deal. I'm sick of the rumors. Everyone's trying to play me and everything. Wake me up when the press conference happens. Then we can figure out what happens with San Diego State and SMU and everybody else. But before that happens, it's just a lot of chatter, and it's chatter that I can't really verify.
There you go.
There you go.
Matt, as always, great stuff. We certainly appreciate it. Look forward to talking with you again soon, as it is talking season starting next week in Nashville with the SEC, and then going forward with that. Thank you, man. We appreciate it. Look forward to it again.
No problem. Take care, guys.
Matt Brown of Extra Points, at Matt Brown EP on Twitter make sure to go follow him.
He's so good.
He is, and had a lot of great information there, and can touch on so many different things. That's what you bring Matt on for, and he kills it every time. So always looking forward to our next chat with Matt. But each and every week we get a chance to talk to Chip Walters, and we will do that in just a few minutes as we take a short break and come back with the voice of the Blue Raiders, Chip Walters, right after this on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Did you know that up to 80% of us will experience back or neck pain during our lifetime? Many of you are offered surgery or addictive pain pills to relieve your chronic pain. At the Dr. Gill's Center for Back, Neck, Chronic Pain Relief, we have been leading the way to better health, naturally, and have helped tens of thousands of people right here in Middle Tennessee for the past 30 years.
I came to Dr. Gill about 10 years ago after my local doctors recommended surgery. I knew about Dr. Gill and wanted to see if he could help me. 10 years later, I am pain-free, no surgery, and no pain pills.
Surgery is scary, and over 40% of all back surgeries fail, creating a cycle of surgery and pills. There is a safer solution to your chronic pain. Make the call to the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, Chronic Pain Relief today and get your life back. This office visit is normally $299, but call today and receive your initial consultation, report of finding for just $49. But hurry, this offer won't last long. Call 615-768-8743. That's 615-768-8743.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yow and Mo Patton here with you on this Top 5 Tuesday. Again, Top 5 All-Star Game moments coming your way here in just a little bit. But first, we go to the Borough where we have the voice of the Blue Raiders, Chip Walters, joining us at Choose Chip. Chip, what's up, man?
Oh, just a warm summer day and kickoff day for the Blue Raider Blitz, which will get underway tonight in Nashville. First stop will be there, but it's been a busy couple of days here early in the week. We've got 2 guys drafted in the Major League Draft, and also the summer podcast here keep dropping. And yesterday, Coach Rick Stockstill's version, and I've got that up to listen to when I head to Nashville here in a little bit.
Chip, you mentioned the Major League Baseball draft. Eric Swan going in the 4th round as a compensation pick. Fourth round to the Dodgers as a compensation pick, and 6-7 picks later, Jaden Ham going in the 5th round to the Detroit Tigers. I'm going to put you on the spot and hoping you know this off the top of your head. When's the last time MTSU had 2 guys go?
Oh, gosh. I think it would have probably – it's happened, but probably in the expanded draft era. That's a good question. I don't have the answer, and it may have happened. I can't give you a good answer on that, but you go back to when DeJuan Brazelton got drafted. Trying to think if John Williams went in that draft the same or not, but both of these guys were projected to go in somewhere around picks 240 to 250, and instead Swan went pick 137 and Ham pick 143. So scouts saw something in both of those guys. With Swan, it's pretty evident when you see a guy with that frame and being able to throw it in triple digits. Every pitching coach out there says, "Well, I can make sure he's good." Ham just I think relied on his body of work of what he had been able to do, and he started every conference series this year. Fortunately for Swan, his best handful of outings came at the end of this season, up and into the conference tournament. So both of those guys, and plus, I don't think it hurts at all when you come out of a program who 1 year your pitching coach and 1 year he's your pitching and head coach is Jerry Myers, a guy who's put a lot of guys in pro ball when he was either head coach at Liberty, but even more so when he was the pitching coach at South Carolina during their back-to-back championship seasons.
3 guys went in the 2018 draft. L.A. Woodard to the Mets in the 16th, Austin Dennis to the Astros in the 20th, and Jake Wyrick to the Reds in the 30th round. The year before, Riley Delgado and Cody Puckett went Delgado to the Braves in the 9th round. And I think Delgado, did he play at Columbia State?
Does he have a brother that may have played there?
Maybe. Okay.
And it could have been Riley, but so it had.
Okay, but Riley Delgado went to the Braves in the 9th round in 17, and Cody Puckett went in the 30th to the Athletics. The mother lode was in 2015 when Ronnie Jabavi, Heath Slatton, Jonathan Freebus, and Nathan Forrest all were drafted, and Ryan Stevens signed as an undrafted free agent. So
2010 was another big one. That's the last time that they had 2 in the first 11.
The first 11 rounds, yes.
Yeah, and Bryce Brents and Alex McClure. So.
Yeah, and those guys, both of those guys could play. And that was the year that Brents arguably had the best year that any hitter ever had in college baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And he put up some incredible numbers and had a nice pro career. Had some injuries that might have kept him out of a long-term big league situation, but he made it to the Red Sox, and he's living here in Murfreesboro, part of his family business now, and But yeah, I mean, it's not been uncommon to have multiples go, but I think now when you have the contracted draft as far as number of rounds, I think it says a lot about these two guys, and in particular, two guys who go in the first 5 rounds, and that I don't think that has happened. So it says a lot about them, and congratulations to them. They'll make a little money at those in those positions.
They should make a little money in those positions, as you mentioned. I would think it's something that Jerry Myers, as he goes out on the recruiting trail for the first time as head coach at MTSU now, he can not necessarily make a little money, but he can make a little hay out there on the recruiting trail with two guys going in the top 5 rounds, I would think.
Well, I think here pretty soon you're going to start hearing about some signees that they've really been working it hard, both high school, JUCO, and the transfer portal. I know they've gotten some commitments that they have not released yet, and have some guys signed. But that's going to be coming, and I think you're right that where Ham and Swan have gone in the draft, that that can only just reinforce the fact that you can reach all your goals at Middle Tennessee, and that's something that Stock has used forever, and that has proven to be true. Same goes for basketball and baseball and other sports as well. So that'll be good. I have to ask Ham how far that big signing bonus check can go in Culleoka.
There's that.
That should be interesting. Absolutely. Chip, you mentioned the Blue Raider Blitz gets started tonight down in Nashville. It's a busy time for you. Are you on the docket for all of those? Will you be at each of those events?
Either all of them or all but one. I've got a little bit of a conflict on Thursday that I'm trying to work out, but otherwise I'm supposed to. I'm going to try to be there to moderate. Tonight is Stock's going to be. Well, Stock is committed to. He's going to be at every one of them. I think Coach McDevitt's going to be at. I think at least 5 of them. I'm not sure about Coach Ensel's schedule. I know they've got AAU recruiting going on in Louisville right now. Things going on there. Coach Myers might be there. I mean, it's just kind of how their schedule rolls. But tonight, the one in Nashville, we have typically used or at least the last couple of years, and used it as a media opportunity as well for the local TVs in particular, to come out, talk to Stock before camp gets underway. Chris Massaro is going to be there, and in honor of winding up our celebration of 50 years of Title IX, we have a media panel tonight that includes Don Davenport. We've got Kayla Anderson and Jill Jelnick. So we will have those 3 ladies who are outstanding sports reporters in our market to be there and be part of that panel tonight.
That'll be from 5:30 to 7 at the Jackalope Brewing Company. Tomorrow is a lunch gig at the Smyrna Event Center from 11:30 to 1. Thursday, I'm sorry?
Double dip on Thursday.
Double dip on Thursday. Yeah, I would, I guess you can get from Franklin to Manchester in 4.5 hours, but I wouldn't waste a whole lot of time. 11:30 to 1 in Franklin at Huckleberry Brewing Company, and 5:30 to 7 at Common John Brewery in Manchester.
If you're going to make both of those, moderation is the key word.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't get sucked in by the heat on those. Yeah. It could be an interesting drive home. Friday, the 14th in Murfreesboro from 5:30 to 7 at Cedar Glade Brews.
That's right behind Chewy's. If you know where Chewy's on Broad Street is, it's right behind Chewy's, and that's a really fun place over there. So that'll be a lot of fun.
I'm sure Chewy's appreciates being a landmark too. Yeah, go to Chewy's and then go behind there. Tuesday the 18th at Shelbyville's Riverbend Country Club from 5:30 to 7. That wraps it up. So
That'll wrap it up. So 6 events, and all starts tonight. And we'll see if they have any actual jackalopes at Jackalope Brewing Company tonight. So that'll be looking forward to that. So it was fun. It was really fun a year ago. Had a fun panel and had a nice crowd. And I think we'll have that again tonight. The weather's warm, but not just super oppressive. And I haven't been to this place yet. I'm looking forward to it. So, but I think we may be inside. So the AC will definitely help out.
Inside in July is always good.
Yes, it is.
Voice of the Blue Raiders, Chip Walters, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chip typically joins us on Tuesdays. We were not on the air on Tuesday, so he joined Chris on Wednesday. I was unfortunately unable to listen because
the wave crashing made so much noise.
No, actually, I was on my way back, and the interwebs in middle of nowhere, Mississippi and Alabama weren't exactly cooperative. So I don't know exactly what y'all talked about, but I figure this Vanderbilt MTSU soccer match at Geodis Park did come up.
Yeah, I think it did. We talked a little bit about it, but certainly something we want folks to have on their calendar, and that'll be September 10th. Middle and Vandy will play, and Vanderbilt is the designated home team in this game, or in this match. The last time they played in 2021 was in Murfreesboro. Middle won that match, and I'm trying to think, and I'll pick your brains. Will this be the first college match to be played at Geodis Park?
I would assume so, but you know what happens when you assume. I've not heard. I'm not familiar with another one taking place there, and this is the largest soccer-specific facility in the country. Is that right?
In North America.
In North
America.
North America, not just in this country.
Not just this country, but two others.
But right.
Well,
okay.
Yes, to answer your question, Chip, it will in fact be the first collegiate soccer match at Geodis Park, according to VUCommodores.com. So I don't know if it's in the MTSU press release, but it is in the Vanderbilt press release.
Well, that's good. Then there's some plausible deniability. If that's not accurate, we got it from VUCommodores.com.
Yeah, exactly. It was MTSU.
Yeah. So that's a big deal.
It is, and and for Aston Roden, he's got some big changes in his roster. I think they were finished a little under where they had hoped and expected to be a year ago, but he's got new faces, but a core group to get it going. And I think that obviously there will be a level of excitement. His team will have their first friendly, I guess you would call it. That's coming up on August 8th. I mean, that's not far away. That's about 4 weeks from today, something like that. So
thanks, Chip.
So I know it's getting way too close too fast. But they'll have their first. They'll have several exhibition matches, and then conference play will get underway, and it'll be interesting. In every sport this year, it's going to be interesting to see what the landscape is going to be when you have the schools that have left and the schools that have come in, and see what that does to the balance of power and all of that. Because we knew, like for instance, Charlotte, FAU, North Texas were all really good in soccer, and Charlotte was, won the Commissioner's Cup or whatever. They won the men's championship once. Marshall won the men's championship one time. So, I don't know how strong soccer is in Jacksonville, Alabama, but we'll see. It's going to be a lot of fun, and seeing some of the things going on right now with all the schools who, because I didn't get to talk to you last week when we talked about how the doors have opened and closed with those leaving the exit door and those coming in the entry door. It's all official and all moving forward now with the new look Conference USA and the new look American Athletic Conference.
Chip, among the schools coming on board with Conference USA is one, and I don't know how much you and Chris talked about the new schools coming in or specifics of any of them, but New Mexico State men's basketball went through quite the shortened season this past year. Do you know anything more about them at this point?
No, well, it's interesting that another new member of the conference is Sam Houston and New Mexico State. Number one, to give you the Reader's Digest version of what happened, they had a player arrested for murder for an incident that happened on a road trip to play a non-conference game at New Mexico. And it ended up shutting the program down, the entire staff fired, all the players cut loose. So basically, they're starting from scratch. And who did they hire? They hired Sam Houston's coach to come to Las Cruces and restart the program. So they won 24 games at Sam Houston, but it is a start from scratch. And they've got some other issues. New Mexico State, if they're a good follow because they always have some stuff going on out there, and they've got an issue that's way up the ladder in their administration that is caused some headlines out there. So that's going to be interesting. Their football program has kind of gotten back on solid footing. Back when we were in the conference with them in the Sun Belt, had some terrific games with them here and out there. And they were also at the time really, really good in baseball. And they have a very, their biggest rival is not the University of New Mexico. Their biggest rival is UTEP in all sports. And they're literally, it's like Middle and Vandy. They're 40 minutes apart. They're Las Cruces is about 40 miles north of the Sun Bowl Stadium in El Paso, and so about 50 miles from the airport, something like that. But they played on an annual basis in most everything, and it is reigniting a rivalry out there that is similar in its fierceness to the 100-mile rivalry between Middle and Western.
40 miles of hate, huh?
Yeah, 40 miles. Okay. 40 miles of being disgruntled. So
deeply disgruntled. So you've got New Mexico State, you've got Sam Houston, you've got Jacksonville State. What is it? State hockey? Is that right? Is that how you do it? Okay. And that'll be the last time you see me do that.
The last time you
way.
See that happen.
Yeah.
So we'll make sure to cut that out.
And Liberty. So
let me just say about Liberty real quick. Liberty, in my opinion, Liberty is going to put pressure on every school in the Conference USA to up the ante on facilities. Their football stadium's fine. It's really nice, but they've got an indoor facility that is right there by the stadium that is second to none. They kind of built. They kind of used a pattern that North Carolina used to build their indoor facility. They have a brand new basketball arena. There was not a thing wrong with their old one. They just decided they wanted to build a new one, and they did. They also opened up a brand new ice center, and their baseball field is immaculate. So they have pumped money, big time money, into facilities, and right now, that facilities and NIL are the name of the game when it comes to recruiting, and Liberty is going to put the heat on everybody else in the league to up their standard of facilities, and that's maybe one of the reasons why Middle right now is in the midst of a $100 million building program. the tennis facility is may be done by before the end of the calendar year, and waiting on any day for construction fencing to go up around the weight room and part of the north or the north end of the stadium, and some demolition to start take place there.
They've not managed to make Lynchburg, Virginia any easier to get to, though, Chip.
No, they have not. It's much easier to get there on a charter flight than it is any other way, because we had to go. Well, we went. That was in Harrisonburg last year, but we went to Lynchburg a couple of years ago when Malik Willis was finishing up his career. And I will tell you that the Liberty campus is the crown jewel of what I've seen of Lynchburg, Virginia.
There you go.
Yeah, Conference USA this year is going to be fun. Next year it'll be, I guess it's next year when Kennesaw.
It is.
So that'll be 10. We'll see what happens from there, because there are some other schools who are trying to find their way to FBS and the top levels. So we'll see how that goes. But until then, we just move on with these 9 and enjoy our October midweek football season. Can't wait for that.
Should be fun.
And boy, that show live from Johnny Red Floyd Stadium in mid-October this year, Mo, is going to be really fun.
Absolutely. I'm just wondering how these midweek games are going to throw Chip's pregame prep off.
How does that? You're going to get some good deals on food. You won't have to pay those weekend prices.
There you go. But the one thing when you look at the schedule, Mo, starting with Western Kentucky, that's a Thursday night game, so that is a 5-day prep for football. After the Colorado State game on the 23rd, 5 days until Western Kentucky. The following week, they play Jacksonville State on Wednesday, October 4th, which is a 6-day prep. The following week, they play Louisiana Tech in Murfreesboro, which is a 6-day prep. So there are 3 straight games in the schedule where they have less than a week to prepare. And I don't think I've ever seen that before. I mean, most of the time you'll have one and then it kind of gets back in order, but you've got 3 straight weeks of less than a full week of preparation. So my prep, I've just got to figure out, getting my charts done and going from there. But at least during that month of October, everybody in the league is going to be on kind of a similar schedule. So you're not having to go back 10 days to see when the last time somebody played and all that kind of stuff. So,
sure.
So I'm looking forward to it. I think, as I told Chris, and maybe in last week, is I would sure rather be playing midweek games in October in Conference USA cities than November midweek games in MAC cities. I think it's going to be a whole lot more conducive to fans and also to the schools in our league that typically have a lot of students that might be commuters. It'll give you an opportunity to kind of keep them on campus during the week and make an event out of it.
That's a good point. There we go.
Biggest crowds in JSU history are come on Thursday nights. Never fails because everybody's still there on campus. So
there you
Chip?
go.
Yeah, biggest student crowds that I remember at Middle, outside of maybe Power 5 games or something like that, have been on midweek games. They like it.
Absolutely. We'll talk to you next week, man. We really appreciate it. Looking forward to it as always.
I'll try to bring a jackalope on with me next week if I can find one.
There you go.
All right. That's going to do it for Chip. We've got Top 5 Tuesday, Top 5 All-Star Game moments coming your way. Justin, are you there?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's get her done. Do we know who's batting first?
We don't.
All right. Well, in the interest of getting this thing done, Mo, go.
Number 1, Dave Parker, 1979. from right field threw out Jim Rice at third in the bottom of the 7th, and then threw out Brian Downing at the plate in the bottom of the 8th to keep it close for the National League to win 7-6 late.
That's a good one. All right, Justin, go ahead.
Torrey Hunter robbing Barry Bonds, 2001. Yeah, 2002, sorry.
That's a good one.
All right. I'm going to go with on this day, 23 years ago, Chipper Jones homers at Turner Field.
Solid. My number 2 is in 1949 when Jackie Robinson became the first African-American to play in the All-Star game and was quickly followed by Roy Campanella, Don Newcomb, and Larry Doby.
Good picks, good picks. Justin?
I'm going to go 1993, Randy Johnson versus John Kruk.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Silly.
My number 2 is going to be Bo Jackson. And that's all I really need to say about that.
1989, let it off.
But yeah, killer.
Let's see. My number 3 then becomes the introduction of the All-Century team prior to the 1999 game.
All right. Justin?
I'm going to go 07 Ichiro first inside the park home run at the All-Star game.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one. That's a really good one, actually.
It is.
Let's see here. Let's go. I'll tell you what, let's stay in 1999 and come off of Mo. We'll just talk about Pedro Martinez when he struck out Barry Larkin, Larry Walker, and Sammy Sosa in order to start the game, and then got McGuire on strikes at the top of the 2nd.
Announcing his presence with authority. Absolutely. Is it to me?
Yes.
We talked about the National League's 9-game streak going into tonight. Brian McCann's 2-run double gave the National League a 3-1 win in 2010, snapping a 13-game losing streak that also included a tie. So they had gone 14 straight games without winning prior to that.
All right. Justin?
I'm going to go with Reggie Jackson in 1971, hit a 520-foot home run onto the roof of Tiger Stadium.
Absolute bomb.
You can still see the video right now.
Yeah.
My number 4 is going to be Cal Ripken Jr. homers in his final All-Star game appearance in 2001.
My number 5 is going to be A-Rod making Cal Ripken swap spots with him in that same game. Ripken was voted in as a third baseman. A-Rod was at short, but obviously Ripken came up as a shortstop, and A-Rod made him play short.
All right. Justin?
I'm going to go with Pete Rose, 1970. Charlie Hustle.
Running through Ray Fosse, running his career. Yeah.
I'm going to go, and with my final pick, Prince Fielder with the
triple.
The triple in the top of the 9th inning.
Yeah.
Off of Jason Grilly, Braves legend. And that's going to do it for today's show. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you next time.